What's up, everybody? Welcome to the weekly rotation series. I talk about which fragrances I wore last week, and I get your insights as well. I wore some vanilla fragrances. I'm actually just thinking about putting away all my vanilla fragrances for the summertime and just like not pulling them back out until the winter time. On Wednesday, I wore, some vanilla fragrances, and I am so regretting it. And even one I wore on Monday. But I wanted to first touch on Prada L'Homme L'Eau. I wore this one last Sunday. I unboxed it on the weekly rotation, which was quite new from what I'd done before. So how do I like it? I think the reputation speaks for itself. It is a fresher version of the original, and I think it's a really well done. The freshness in here and the powdery tone is so well balanced, and I think it's just like the spring version, which Prada L'Homme is already a spring fragrance, so it's like kind of beating a dead horse at this point. But this one, the DNA is just so perfectly well done in that fresh kind of way. It's a complete redundant blind buy. If you have the original, don't even think about buying it. Unless you like to find little nuances that are different, I would say go for it. In my personal pick, there's not really many differences to warrant a purchase. Like if you have the original, this one is not really like a necessity, but I think it's a fantastic flanker that is just fresh and clean, and it's like, it's the lighter version of Prada L'Homme. I feel like that there is a little bit more of a musky tone in here and less of that floral iris and like this sharp citrusy freshness that's just so present, and it's so lovely. One of my favorites. I actually prefer this one over the original one. I know that might sound crazy. All right, kicking it right off into Monday, I wore the new Qaed Untamed. This is Untamed, and so this is there's a new Eros that came out, and it's the brown bottle. I forget what the exact name is, but it has a little bit of oud or sweetness in there. I'm not sure what's going on in there because it was or Middle East exclusives. If they're not considering their American market, I'm not going to consider them. I got this one in, and it's quite nice. I was actually really taken back. Now, it was a little bit cloying. It was a little bit much. I only sprayed on 3 sprays because I wanted to be a little tame, even though that the fragrance is called Untamed. So 3 sprays, and it was so lovely. The smell on this thing is just incredible. It's sweet, it's woody, it's spicy, and it's very playful. So this one has like a, sweet lavender sage kind of combo. And then this like sweet caramel with this vanilla tone in here. Just fantastic. It almost reminds me of if you took Mercedes-Benz Club Black and mixed it up with like Born in Roma from Valentino, that kind of thing. That sweet lavender meets a nice smoky vanilla. That's what I kind of find here. It's really well done. It needs a little bit cooler weather. It was like 80 degrees on Monday, which it was a little challenging. Not as challenging as Wednesday, but let's move it on forward. Did get in another fragrance, Aqua Wood. This is from Mancera, and this has quickly rose to one of the top Manceras that I own. So I get a lot of similarities to French Riviera. They're not like one-to-one. These are not like clones. I know that term gets thrown around a lot online, or that inspired by line. That's not what's going on here. So I feel like I'm releasing a video on Wednesday or Tuesday talking about ranking all my Manceras. And how I feel about this one is I feel like Mancera has 2 different DNAs. They have the jasmine white floral DNA, and then they have the rose quality, the rosy fragrance DNA. And I feel like that's the differences between these two. This one lacks the sea salt and the jasmine quality, that white floral nuance. This one has that sea salty freshness and that nice white floral nuance in here. So how I look at it is Aqua Wood is like the deeper, woodier, masculine version of French Riviera, which I love. So yes, I wore Aqua Wood on Tuesday. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. This is one of the fragrances that lingers in the air and just like you catch whiffs, kind of like French Riviera. You catch whiffs of it, and it's just like so fantastically fresh, aquatic, and citrusy, musky, and there's woods in here. And the rose quality is really nice, but it's balanced, so it's really, really nice. If you're looking for French Riviera and you want something a little bit more masculine, like woods, the rose quality does make it a little bit unisex, so Aqua Wood, really good option. I'm going to be wearing Aqua Wood a lot this coming summer. All right, let's talk about Wednesday. So I sprayed on these 2 because I wanted to do a review, like a versus battle. And oh my God, it was clawing. I was a little like why am I doing this? I hate this. So it was a little hot, and these are two very strong, potent vanilla wood fragrances. I didn't wear a whole lot of each. I wore 2 sprays of this and 2 sprays of this, 4 sprays total, and I was just headache induced, coma headache induced. And what I really gathered, you know, besides the headache, because I was in like an air-conditioned car most of the day, but what I gathered is liquid Brun is like a beast mode. It doesn't smell like 1-to-1 to Althair, but it is really damn close. I sprayed on Althair too. So that means I had 5 sprays of this DNA in like 80, 90 degree weather. It was not a good time. Anyway, liquid Brun, very close. It has such a power to it that it's so lovely. And then Vanilla Dunes, I mean, these two fragrances are not all that different from each other. They're pretty much like 1-to-1, similar style, and the performance is just as good on both of them, if not better on liquid Brun. But the performance is so inconceivable. If you're spending 10 hours with this and you're spending 12 hours with this, who cares? But anyway, really good fragrances. I'm gonna be wearing those more in the pumpkin spice fall time, sweet, seductive time, pumpkin patch weather kind of thing. Not springtime, birds are out chirping and the bunnies are making love. All right, and then on Thursday, I wore the new Dolce & Gabbana K Parfum. I think this is my second time wearing it, and I just love this stuff so tremendously much. I still stand by it is kind of a mix between Dior Sauvage Elixir and Dolce & Gabbana Eau de Parfum. Mix those two together, they craft up a baby of goodness that is this. It's musky, it's fresh, it's douchebaggery at its finest, but it's also got that K luxury king kind of feel, which I love. Really reminiscent of like a hairspray in my eyes. You get this like nice freshness, clean hair kind of quality. I know that sounds weird, but it smells really blue, fresh, clean, and just really excellent. And then with that Sauvage Elixir kind of style, that from that licorice note in here, and the sweetness, spiciness too, gives it such an elegance. This is so highly appreciated for me. Best release from Dolce & Gabbana in a long time. Try it out. It's probably at Macy's, Sephora, Ulta, wherever you can pick up designer fragrances. And like I said before, it's a designer fragrance, so it's like nothing tremendously special here. The niche snobs are going to be like, you have bad taste. And yes, I know I had bad taste, but give me a break. All right, then on Friday, I actually had kind of a rough week. I broke a really expensive camera. Not a fun time. I'll throw a picture up on the screen here. Not a good time. Not a good time. It's one of those 360 cameras. So if if you're on Zillow, you can jump from, donut to donut to donut and walk through the house. Yeah, one of the cameras, I broke it. It just awful. Awful experience. 1 out of 10, would not recommend to a friend. But I was smelling fantastic. So I was wearing Aqua Dubai. This is from Al Haramain, and this is kind of inspired by kind of that fresh aquatic that you get from Louis Vuitton's Imagination. Fruity sweet with that bergamot. Bergamot's not a fruit. Black currant is what I'm trying to say. I'm all lost in train of thought. There is a bit of a tea nuance in here. The note breakdown calls for green notes. Somebody called me out in the comments a while back for talking about how there's tea nuance in here in an Imagination clone, but on Fragrantica it says green notes. Yeah, so note breakdowns are for marketing and marketing only. There is no way that designer fragrances have 3 note breakdowns. If you put 3 notes into a fragrance, they would smell very choppy, not smooth at all, and not designer quality. So whenever you're reading a note breakdown, take it with a grain of salt. It is not the Bible. It's usually just to persuade you one way or the other. And especially with these clones nowadays, they're usually just copying the note breakdowns from the other ones. Anyway, I digress. I'm not trying to throw shade at you know who you are, but you threw shade at me for thinking that green notes are not tea. I think they're tea. Do you think they're tea? I think they're tea. Anyway, fruity sweet, fresh and clean, lovely stuff. Carries through the air. You smell like a divine man when you're wearing this one. I'm on my way actually to Las Vegas in the next couple weeks, and I'm actually going to have the opportunity to smell some Louis Vuittons. I'm hoping I could smell all of them because I've never smelled many from Louis Vuitton. I've smelled like Afternoon Swim and Imagination, but I have not smelled the rest of the line. So I'm really excited to try those out, see those. Anyway, on Saturday I wore Hawas Ice. This is a fresh and clean with a bit of a minty kind of vibe in here. Musky fresh, sweet fabric softener, lovely stuff. Hawas is like a notorious line for just being cheap, affordable, and smell absolutely amazing. If you want a good recommendation on a Hawas, go check out my Hawas ranking video. I'll have it in the description or it'll be on my channel. Go check it out if you want the best recommendation for the Hawas from me. But the Hawas Ice is so good. I think the black version is excellent too. And the fire version is fire, pun intended. All right, and then today I'm gonna be wearing Alwatania's Lazuli. I think that's the way you say it. Lazuli? So this is kind of a neroli portofino kind of smell. You have this nice neroli character in here, freshness. It smells like pool liner, like a nice fresh pool day, clean, citrus, and aromatic. Lovely stuff. Very good, highly underrated, and it's pretty affordable too. Alwatania does so many good inspired buys. They have the Dior Homme Intense from Cayenne Classic, which is just a phenomenal fragrance. And they have so many other ones. Highly underrated house. I think that they're worth checking out. But Lazuli is really good. I like wearing it, especially on a casual day. I might even bring this one to Vegas. I don't know. It's a 100 ml size bottle. I don't know if those go on planes. Actually, I'm going to leave it up to you. What are some fragrances that I can take to Vegas? I would love to know your recommendations. It's going to be probably hot, so we're going to turn the tables a little bit. You're going to be my fragrance influencer now, so give me some recommendations in the comments down below. I'll read your guys' stuff right before I pack, and I'll throw in maybe 3 or 4 fragrances that I'll be taking to Las Vegas. So thank you so much for watching the channel, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you so much for watching the channel. We'll see you next time.